So this is Mark Solomon, your financial guide for special needs families, bringing you simple ideas and strategies to help you lower your financial pressures today so that you can get back to what's most important, taking care of your family. And hey, it's a beautiful day in California today, Luis, Southern California, very windy. Santa Ana winds, if you've heard of them, 20, 30, 40 mile an hour winds, lots of dust, lots of pollen, lots of seeds flying everywhere. And it's super dry. So for those of you in humid climates, we're like polar opposite, okay? Just think Arizona and you're right on there, okay? So we're here at 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and everybody in between, you know where you're at. So let's get started. How to know what investment is best for your child's future, okay? So this is what we're going to be talking about. So we want to get an understanding and eliminate fear. So we want to go to understanding and eliminate fear when it comes to investing, and also learn to control emotions to reach our savings goals, okay? Because long-term investing, any kind of investing, short, mid, long-term investing, it's emotional because money, people have an emotional attachment to money, and there's fear there of losing it. And I get that. I feel that. I have felt it. I still feel it for my clients and myself. That's why we have to use our knowledge and our understanding of how things work so that we can make informed, good decisions in regard to our savings, okay? So why do I say that? Because a lot of people who invest emotionally. They see the market doing really well, so they want to put money into it, okay? Or they see the market doing really bad and they pull their money out of it. Okay, that is the opposite thinking of how things should be going in your savings. When the market's going up, right? You don't invest then. You invest when the market's down. Why? And I'll explain to you. It's getting things on a bargain. Like right now, a lot of us are people are going crazy trying to buy a house. They're bidding over the asking price. They're in a bidding war with 10, 12, 15 other people, asking, letting people know we'll pay cash, all these things to kind of get a house now. And the prices are at a premium. Okay, but what is eventually going to happen? What eventually is going to happen, the market's going to go down and they're going to be upside down in their home. They're going to have a mortgage that's higher than the value of their house. And that's not good. I mean, it's like owning a car, okay? Cars depreciate immediately when you buy them. You're already almost upside down in your car, depending on the size of your car loan. If your car loan, if your loan on your car is, you only put $5,000 down on a $40,000 vehicle, let's say, when you walk off the lot, you lose 20, 25, 30%, boom, right away. Well, now you owe more than the car's worth. Okay, but we understand that about vehicles because it's something that we use and we're going to have it for years, right? Same thing with your home. You want to buy when the market's down or it's been at a steady pace, not while it's going up. Why? Because over time, you want the investment to increase so that your value of your home increases. And as you pay down your mortgage, you're getting more equity. Your equity is growing. We don't want to have to, catch up to the value of our house just to get to zero because our loan is more than our house is worth. Does that make sense? So when you're in the market, you want to buy low, sell high. But in the case of long-term savings, this is what I'm trying to get to you guys. I know it's a lot, is that make sure that you're not emotional, because when you act emotional, you're not going to get the results you want, okay? So emotional reactions to the market are counterproductive, because if you buy high, that means you're buying at a premium. Instead of buying a bag of chips at 50 cents, you're now buying it at $1.25. So you're spending way too much money for it. It's like you want to go to the market and it says $5 for a pound of meat, and 3 other people want the same package. And you tell the guy, I'll pay you $5 more for that. The other person says, I'll pay you 10. I mean, that doesn't happen. Right? You're able to pay the market price at the store, whether it's the last one or the first one. Okay. When it's the same thing with the stock market and investing. You want to get a fair market price for the value of what you're purchasing. You're purchasing some of Coca-Cola. You don't want to buy it at a premium. You want to either buy it at a fair market price or at a discount. Okay. Same thing. Think of retail, ladies and gentlemen. When you go into the store, where you're going to the clearance aisle first. Why? Because you want to get the most for your money. Same thing here. Does that make sense? So let me use 2008 as an example. A lot of us are still feeling the sting of that, even though that's 14 years ago already. 14 years ago, the market took like 35, well, 40, almost 50% dump. It went down to 8,000. Right now we're at 35,000. So you see how much the market has grown, right? Are we set up for a correction again? Absolutely. It can only stay high for so long without correcting. But this is what I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to use your brain. We're going to think here. What happened in 2008, a lot of people, how many people did you hear say, I lost everything. All my money was gone. Right? Well, if you worked at Enron, okay, you had all your eggs in one basket. If you had all your money in one stock and the company went bankrupt, well, of course, you lost all your money because now your shares are worth nothing and the company's gone. But if you had your money in like a 401k, a lot of people had money in a 401k and their hair was on fire. They were freaking out. They lost 30, 40, 50% of their money. They're like, they thought they lost money. They didn't lose money. The value of their shares went down. You still have the same number of shares, pieces, tangible things like coins in your hand, like dollars, right? Inflation, the dollar gets less, is devalued, but you still have the dollar. The value could go up, the value can go down. But when you have the dollar, that's like one share. And the value goes up and down depending on inflation and and all those factors. Same thing when you're investing for your future, investing in an ABLE account to grow your child's money for the future, having an investment account in your child's special needs trust to grow that money over the long term. Same thing in your 401k, your Roth IRA, all your investments. It's the same thing when you're in an investment. You're in for whatever distance you're in for. Don't let your emotions get in the way, right? So they didn't lose everything in 2008. Their shares were still there. They were worth less than they were before. But if they held on, what happened the very next year? Does anybody remember? I know nobody can say it, but I'll tell you, the market sprung back with what was left in people's accounts back up to almost the same amount that was lost, percentage-wise. And within a few years, their money was back to where it was and beyond. Most people got all their money back and then some more because the market did a great job of growing over those next 10 years and they didn't lose out. A lot of people got afraid and put their money in safe places. And they locked in a loss. Their money went down by 50%. They got afraid they were going to lose it all. They didn't understand shares over dollars, and they put it somewhere where it can't grow because they were afraid they were going to lose more. And then they weren't able to get the rebound because their shares were still there. Actually, at that time, if you had extra money, throw extra money at it because the market's going to come back. It always does. It always has. And that's what happened. And people made all their money back. So that being said, shares over dollars. Don't think money, think shares. Because as long as you're holding on to shares, you have the possibility of gaining it back and growing further over time. Okay? So that's what I wanted to make clear there. So now let's move on. So 3 keys to making a sound investment choice. And we're just going to talk about ABLE accounts right now, investing in a special needs trust. We're going to talk about your child's future, but also your future, your 401k, your IRA accounts. Why? It's the same thinking. Okay? So the 3 keys. Key number 1, what is your goal? What's your goal for this investment? Is it to, over the short term, save money for a down payment for a house? Right? Is it over the midterm, you're saving money for, I don't know, maybe you're going to take longer to save for a house, or maybe you're paying down your debt. So you are thinking longer term about a larger purchase. Maybe you haven't ever bought a home and you need longer time to save for a house or anything else that you might be saving for. Midterm, it's a little longer period of time. Short term, 0 to 3 years. Midterm, 3 to 10 years, right? And then long term is 10 years and beyond. Okay. So in the short term, you don't want to see too much. People say risk. Okay. This is what we want to get you to get away from. It's not risk. It's variable movement in the market, but over time it tends to grow. You just got to be patient. But if you're doing the short term, you don't want to take a lot of risk. Why? You don't want to have the bottom fall out one day and then you need your money that day for the down payment for your house, but you lost 20%. Oh my God. So you put it somewhere where it barely fluctuates. It keeps up with inflation. So the value of your dollar doesn't go down. And when it's time to make that down payment a few years later, you still have the dollar value to make that purchase. That makes sense? Same thing midterm. You've got a little longer, let's say up to 10 years. So you could take a little bit more volatility based on the fact that you want it to grow. And long term, you can deal with more volatility. Why? Because over time, it's going to grow and grow. Long term, yes, 2008 took a big dip, but over time, it still came back. Think about that. It went from 8,000 in 2008, and 14 years later, it grew over 400%. The stock market, the S&P 500, okay? Over 400%. So over the long term, just like your home increases in value, your savings can do the same. But it all matters. What is your goal for the money? Is it long term, midterm, or short term? Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. Number 2 key, what is your timeline? And now they tie together. What's your timeline? Is it a longer period or shorter period? The goal and the timeline are almost the same, but the goal defines the timeline, right? I need to save money because we're going to go buy a new car in 2 years. Well, there's your 2-year timeline. There's your goal. 2 years is the timeline. Just what we talked about. I kind of overlap there, but you guys get the idea. Your goal and your timeline. Those are the first 2 keys. The third one, what is your risk tolerance? Okay. What is your tolerance, emotional tolerance to the fluctuations of the market when you're saving? I mean, even if we're saving over the long term, there are some people who are they can't stomach more than moderate fluctuations. So we work with that. Yes, you can still make 6 to 8% over time, double or triple what inflation is over the long term, but not take so much what we call downside risk that goes down. But you can still go up. So what we do is it depends on what your risk you're willing to take. Now, as someone who would give you advice or guidance in this case, if you're going 3 to 5 years, I'm not going to tell you to put it in something with high volatility. That's just bad advice. I would say, let's hedge our bets, make sure we outpace inflation, and then make sure your money still has the correct value over time, over that short time. Midterm, maybe you could take a little bit more risk, but depending on what your tolerance is to fluctuations, and we wouldn't be leaving you alone with your emotions. We'd be here to help you understand what's happening, right? But at the same time, you need to be able to tell me, Mark, this scares me to death. Okay, great. That helps me. Mark, I'm good to go. I don't care. I know it's long term. We're ready to take the risk because we know that the reward will be there. Those are 2 different attitudes. And obviously the third one's right down the middle. Either way, whoever you are, your goal, your timeline, and your risk tolerance is going to define what your investment is going to be, how you're going to view what you're going to be doing and what you're comfortable with. Because look, I understand. I can't just tell you, hey, do what I tell you, and you're going to get that result, because there's no guarantees. And because there's no guarantee, that's when we talk about these 3 keys. I ask you these questions and we help you understand. And then recommendations come, and then you guys make the choice. That's how that works. And we would be more than willing to talk to anyone and work with anyone in understanding this in their certain situation. Because what? Everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody's tolerances are different. Everybody's goals and timelines are different. That's why these 3 keys can just plug into everybody's situation, and those variables can be worked out. I know we all want the same thing. We want the best for our kids. We want to give them a secure future now and until we're gone. And some of the ways, and one big way to do that is to know how to save and where to put it so you can get the result you want in your savings for your retirement, which will lock in monies that can be put into special needs trusts, to save in, to lock in, to save an enable account and understand you can grow it over time if your child's a minor, or how to keep the money from losing its value in the able account and using it as an emergency fund, glorified expense account to help them if they have some independence. And even if not, it's just a way for you to not keep taking money out of the special needs trust. You can use smaller expenses from the able account. So we talk about all these different things and how to achieve what you want. So these are things that we can help you guys do. Okay, with just guidance, answer all your questions. We're here. So in the chat, in Zoom, and in the chat here on Facebook is our calendar link. Please feel free to set an appointment. If none of this made sense and you need, hey, Mark, what you said, I'm sure it made sense to somebody, went right over my head. I'd be more than happy to go over this with you one-on-one, so that you can know what you're doing in your own investments already. A lot of people have no idea how they're investing in their 401k or their investment accounts. They think they're doing the right thing, but why not sit with somebody to tell you, yeah, that's good. Or, well, why don't we talk about this and see if you can do better? Wouldn't that be great? I'd love to do that. Costs nothing to sit with me, and I'd love to show you how to best save for yourself and your child into the future. Make sure your family's rock solid. The idea is to put a financial wall down around your family so nothing can get through. Okay. For those of you in Zoom, on the top of the in the chat, there is my calendar link, email, website. It should be there. If you don't see it, I will post it again. Don't worry. But let me just do a quick recap for everyone. So how to know what investment is best for your child's future. Get an understanding and eliminate fear. Because as soon as you have an understanding, you could still be like, have a little bit of butterflies, but we can get them to fly in formation, if you know what I mean, right? So if we learn to control our emotions, we can reach our savings goals, okay? So why do I say that? Emotional reactions to the market are counterproductive. If you act emotionally, you're going to do something that's not going to help you. It's going to possibly harm you. Okay. We went over 2008. People made a lot of mistakes thinking they lost all their money. They did not. They still had their shares, right? They just didn't realize that the shares had the value. It's not dollars, it's shares. The shares have value. They can grow or they can reduce. Either way, over a longer period of time, they are bound to grow. Like I said, no guarantees, but the stock market's been tracked for over 80 plus years, and every 10-year period, starting back in the 1930s, there's always been some amount of growth. Okay. So long-term, you can look at the great possibility of growth, no guarantee, but that we can show you some interesting numbers. Okay. So shares over dollars, the 3 keys. 1, what is your goal? Pick a goal. Then 2, what's your timeline? Pick how long it's going to take to get that goal. And 3, what's your risk tolerance? Those 3 things together can dictate if the goal is going to make it in your timeline or not. But either way, we're going to go ahead and do what's best for you and your family, how you see it. Okay. How you want it to go. Okay. So all you really got to do at the end here is add discipline and use counsel and coaching, and you're on your way to succeeding and reaching your financial goals, right? So be disciplined about it. Ask for guidance and help. We'd be more than happy to help you with that. And then you're on your way to succeeding. So I hope that we're already at 6:22 here, depending on where you're at. It's 22 after the hour. We hope that this was very, very informative. Okay. And the person in Zoom, hang in after we're done, and I will make sure to get you the link that you want. Okay. All right, Michelle. And also Deanna, don't worry, hang on. I'll get you the links you want. You just stay in Zoom. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming in tonight. Like I said, I hope this was valuable. If you have questions and you want help with how to save for the future and not to be confused and have as much information as you want, and so you can feel comfortable to do the right thing for your family, please set a complimentary consultation. Do it right now. Ask us a question in the chat. Send us a private message. Okay. We'd be more than happy to help. So thank you so much for coming in tonight. Again, this is Mark Solomon, your financial guide for special needs families, bringing you simple ideas and strategies to help lower your financial pressures today so you can get back to what's most important, taking care of your family. So, hey, everyone out there on Zoom, you guys stay here. And those of you on Facebook, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Take